CJ.
Hi, Wendy. Here we are again.
Here we are again.
You.
Yay!
Whee!
So
I feel like an old pro at this now.
you are an old pro.
Well, old, yeah.
No. All right. So this is CJ Golden. I'm Wendy Green, and welcome to the Caregiver's Bakery. This is the time where you can take 30 minutes to put your feet up, sit back and relax, build a caring community, and we can learn from each other and share a delicious recipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have a great guest today, CJ.
Oh, we do. And her name is Maryann Meken-Silvestri. It's interesting because Silvestri is the name she took when she married her husband, Al. But Maryann is Greek. She was born in Danbury to first-generation American parents. And as she says, and I don't want to mess this up, she was blessed to be raised by a multigenerational, multicultural, loving family. Beginning in her youth, and this is where she comes to the caregiver part, beginning in her youth, she was taught to help provide comfort as each generation traversed through some difficult and trying illnesses. She married the love of her life, Al Silvestri Jr., while still at university, and he was called to serve in Vietnam. Together, they raised two children. I know those two children. I know all the kids and the grandkids. I got to tell you, it's a fabulous family. The two kids are both married. There are four, as she put it, treasured grandchildren. And yeah, they are. It's a beautiful family. But she's also an award-winning fused glass artist. And if anyone looked at the Caregiver's Bakery Facebook page recently, which I hope you did, you will see one of the pieces that she made for me, which is it's a banjo. It's magnificent. Her work is absolutely gorgeous. She was a public school teacher. She taught art. She has a BS in education from the University of Bridgeport and an MS from WCSU, Western Connecticut State University, and additional intensive study in glass as well as private instructions. And she continues to expand her creative juices. Her work is seen in private collections in the US, in Canada, and in Europe. Europe, Maryann? Really? Yeah, cool. That's cool. But several years ago, Al, her husband, began to experience medical difficulties. It was as a result of his exposure to Agent Orange when he was in Vietnam. And although caring for her spouse, although caring for Al required a bit of a challenge, she faced these last years armed with the skills that she had learned from her family. The most valuable coping tool in her repertoire is the love that she shares with her family, with Al, her husband of 50 years. And it's her family that sustains her still. Maryann was we say a no-brainer to have her be on our show. I'd like you all to meet her, Maryann Meken-Silvestri.
Hello there, ladies. How are you?
Maryann, what a great introduction.
Well, yes, Karen, you made me sound really intelligent and
Yeah,
like I know
isn't
what
that
I'm doing.
And we already have a few people joining us. Well, we have more than a few, but people have said hi. So hi to Gail and Doris. We're glad to have them with us. So Maryann, I did see that banjo that you made for CJ. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous.
Well, thank you. It was fun. Always a labor of love.
So your story sounds like a story of love, starting from when you were young. Would you kind of walk us through it?
Sure. Karen, of course, gave you the background of how I actually started to get into caregiving without realizing it. Before I broach my own story, I'd like to tell you some things that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for my generational, multicultural family because they showed by example what it is like to really love someone and take care of them. So those are my basic skills I started to learn when I was, oh gosh, I don't know, 5 years old. I'm also thankful for my husband and the love we shared and the life we built together, because if we didn't have such a strong bond and we weren't so supportive of each other, I don't think that the experience that we traversed together would have been as easy as it was. Not that it was easy, because it wasn't easy. But we helped each other. He was supportive during difficult situations that we faced. We ended up laughing after we yelled at each other, but we did have that background. I'm also thankful for my children who I raised the same way that Al and I were raised, with extended family. And they stepped up to the plate, my children and my grandchildren, and showed Al so much love and attention and compassion during the last few years. It was the light of his life. Additionally, I have to give some credit to our family physician of 40 or 45 years, Ed Volpentesta, who practiced patient-centered medicine. He knew his patients. He knew how to approach Al when Al didn't want to do something. He knew what to tell me to get through a certain situation, because he knew us. He knew our children. And I thank him so much. Unfortunately, Dr. Ed succumbed to COVID last month, but
So
he has
sorry.
always been a very good and large influence and help in our lives. As Karen said, as a child, I helped my cousins and aunts and uncles and my parents to take care of the elderly people in our family. Didn't matter who talked to you, who told you what to do, you did it. and that's the way I raised my kids as well. As a young adult, I experienced the decline of my own parents and my aunt and uncle, who I feel as though I was blessed with two sets of parents, because they loved and supported me as much as I loved them. And I was fortunate, because Al had a very successful business, to be able to take an early retirement from education and help my family members. I treasure the time I got to spend with them because of that. Now, as an older adult, I never thought ever that I would ever in the world be living my life without my husband. We met at the end of freshman year in high school. I was 14, he was 15, and he died at the age of 71 last year in November. I never imagined my life without him. He really made transitions easy for me. He, of course, got very cranky, and it's hard to take. We yelled at each other, which is normal, but because we loved each other, we ended up laughing and facing whatever we had to face with the help of our family and getting through that. That being said, because of his exposure in Vietnam over probably the last 15 years, the deterioration started. Until I went through my notes for this, I didn't realize how long Al had suffered. He developed type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease probably about 16 years ago. But we dealt with that. Then he had prostate cancer, and we dealt with that. Unfortunately, because of some of the medications that he was on, he developed something called rhabdomyolysis, which is a rapid muscle damage to the skeletal muscles, and it leads to kidney damage. He had several surgeries, including hip surgery, cardiac catheterization. All this ultimately resulted in him having a heart attack and passing. We think about things we've been given. We've been given life, raised with good values, developed skills, found love, built a family, and enjoyed life. I think those are all positive things. What happened was that you reach a point where things begin to change. And what changed for us was that Al lost his strength. He was robbed of his good health. He was prevented from socializing because he couldn't get around. His privacy was stolen. If you've gone through that much medical history, everything is open to everybody. He became depressed and resentment set in, and pain, lots of pain and anger. We did what we could to get through that, and it was Al who helped me to get through it more than anyone else. He was always encouraging. He said, go if I was invited somewhere. I'll be fine. Do this and do that. And you get to a point with caregiving that you're on autopilot. It's almost like you're sleepwalking. Everything is in a dream and you're doing these things automatically. But what I found to help me was not only his support in telling me to get out and go, but you learn to stop and smell the roses. Enjoy the small things in life. Talking to a friend on the phone, a visit from your grandchildren, a scented candle, music, old photographs, anything to help you tune yourself back into the present. Don't self-isolate. That's the worst thing any of us could ever do when we're facing any problem. And right now, the pandemic is bad enough. Mm-hmm. So you just have to find your own way. Take advantage of the small things. Cherish the small things. It'll make you feel better, and the person you're giving care to will see that in your demeanor, and it will assuage some of their feelings of maybe guilt or I don't know what the word is, but they don't want to do this to you. They don't want to make you miserable. They want you to be happy. So when they see you happy, it helps them be happy. I think those are very important things. And let yourself not feel guilty if you feel like screaming out the door. Vent to a friend if you need to. And learn to use humor. There were so many situations, such as toileting and things like that, that are difficult to get through. But you make a joke and you laugh about it, and before you know, it's over with. So let yourself feel better and not guilty. Continue to socialize whenever you can. My grandchildren even stayed with Al and babysat him so I could attend some art openings and some other things that were important to me. Reach out to those people. They want to help. So when they can, let them. I don't know if I've covered everything that's in my head, but I know as an artist, I need to recapture my motivation. It's been a year that I've been a widow. I'm really not back into myself, but I didn't lose a lot of myself because I continued to relate to other people. I also learned while Al was still ill to be a part of something, even though I was apart from him. I know I'll prevail because I'm too mean not to. and I hope I've covered everything and helped anybody who might be listening.
Maryann, everything that you have said, I'm sitting here probably overtly shaking my head. One question that I have for you, because I think
Yes.
this is something that comes up often for caregivers, particularly when we're caring for someone we love. And you said that Dr. Volpentesta, and I did meet him, folks. He's charming. He still is. How did he approach Al to get him
Well,
to do something when Al didn't want to do it?
well, Ed's focus was patient-centered medicine. I don't think he would have retired when he did had medicine not changed so much. When he started his practice, he knew his patients, he knew their families. He chit-chatted. He took the time to get to know people. He felt that knowing who he was treating and knowing about them helped him to be a better doctor. And because of that, and because he's known Al for so long, Al had a salty vocabulary, and he could be a bit crusty, but that made him lovable. And Ed knew that. He knew him. So he spoke Al's lingo, so to speak, man to man. And that's the greatest gift a doctor could give a patient. And I hope some of his writings are being read by current upcoming physicians because it made a world of difference.
He was amazing. And what you're saying also alerts me to the fact that sometimes we, as the spouse, the mother, the sister, the daughter, can't speak that lingo that we need to speak. Or if we do, it comes out very stilted. Sometimes we need to turn to someone who we trust, who is a close member, family or friend, who understands the patient and knows how to get the point across. And that doesn't make us any less of a caregiver. It makes us wiser and stronger because we know where to go to get the help.
That's most certainly true. It sometimes is easier when it comes from someone else. Sometimes you hurt the ones you love the most.
Mm-hmm.
So that sometimes when Al was particularly angry about something or in a lot of pain, he might lash out to me. But I knew the beginning. Ed Volpentesta knew the guy. He spoke to the guy, and the guy told him he knew he was going through some anger and depression. And understanding that and having it reinforced by your doctor telling you the same thing is invaluable.
Yeah.
Maryann, your story was beautiful and amazing. And I think the thing that really touched me listening to it is all of the gratitudes that you shared and the blessings that you focused on. I would imagine there were times that you did not feel so grateful and so blessed. How did you find your way back to that?
Well, yeah, there were times that I was really angry. I was really depressed. At the time, I was still doing some of my artwork, so that was a wonderful release. Venting to trusted friends, and Karen, you know that, really helps. It's you just have to remember the good times. You have to. That's why looking at old photographs, if you have videos, those things bring you back to a place where everything was good, and remembering all the good things, and trying to make some more new good things. My grandchildren were wonderful. The fact that they came over and did goofy stuff with us and entertained Pop. I mean, my family's a little wacky, but it helps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all of you that are watching right now, I think listening to Maryann's story, there's so many wonderful takeaways. So if you know other people who are caregivers and could learn from this, please share this with them. You can tag them in the comments, just hashtag with their name next to it, and they'll get notified. I think we can also write up a little summary, Maryann, of what you've shared, because it's been humor, don't feel guilty, stop and smell the roses. I mean, I've been taking notes because it's
Oh, you know what, Wendy? One thing that I did forget to mention, and I found this out by chance. And again, I was learning from my relatives. At the same time I was taking care of Al, my mom was ill. She passed. My aunt, my other mother, was also ill. She passed in June. Al passed in November. My Aunt Sophie passed in June. But in helping my Aunt Sophie, I had to attend a meeting that from the VA. A guy from the VA was coming to. My Uncle Nick was a World War II hero. And because I sat in on that and my aunt asked some questions, I found out that there was help for Vietnam vets who had certain diseases as a result of Agent Orange, and that put me in touch with the VA. So learning to navigate any help you can get, as well as learning about insurance, and it's an awful lot to absorb, but sometimes by chance, and ask friends that have gone through it. It's really helpful. Senior centers, anywhere they give a seminar, take advantage of learning what you can learn. It does make your job a little easier.
See, Maryann, you really are intelligent. It's not that I made you sound. Wendy, is it time for us to get on? Because I'm sitting here with a thermos of Avgolemono.
How do you say it, Maryann?
Avgolemono.
Avgolemono.
Just the way it's spelled.
And that's Greek, right?
Well, the soup that I made is Greek style. There's some shortcuts, and there's some other things you can do, but yeah, it's Greek style.
Yeah.
Egg and lemon chicken soup.
Oh my gosh. And it is so good. So good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I have to tell you, I was a little nervous. We will share the recipe on Facebook for sure. And Maryann gave us some shortcuts on the recipe, but I was a little nervous about the eggs and the lemon and whether I would, whisk them enough and it turned out beautifully.
Yeah, you have to be persistent and make sure. Otherwise, the eggs do something what we call the eggs broke, and they curdle. And then you've got egg drop soup.
But Maryann, you told us so clearly how to do it. Folks who don't know what, because you don't have the recipe, you will when you go to the site. The raw egg has to get incorporated into the soup, into the chicken soup, egg and lemon. And Maryann explained to us that you froth the egg with the lemon, add a little of the broth to it, add a little more, and you'll see it works I didn't mess it up. If I didn't mess it up.
I know.
Can
Me
we taste
too.
it? Can we taste it? Maryann, do you have it near you?
Yes, well, yes, my granddaughter's here because I'm in the dining room and I couldn't get up and go. Anyway, I have it here, and she will move my my iPad so that you can see.
And I'm opening my thermos.
Yes, I just did that.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh,
With
look
the
how
wine glass,
pretty.
of course.
You have to have wine.
Of course.
That's why God made it. He wants us to be happy.
That's right.
And I a lot of people like crusty bread. I have pita bread with mine.
Mm.
And you can add some feta, crumpled feta if you like, or
Oh my gosh.
Parmesan. What
This
am I
is so
forgetting?
good.
Okay.
So good. So,
Oh, I always add a little extra lemon. My daughter has
Oh,
the rest
wow.
of the soup. My daughter Andrea has the rest of the soup at her house because it's a big pot of soup.
I have to tell you, this starts out like chicken and rice soup, right? And then you, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be eating in front of all of you.
Well,
All right. Well,
enjoy
next
it.
week, everybody can bring their Avgolemono
Karen, come on, you
Yes.
can do it. Avgolemono.
Avgolemono Soup too. And you can be eating it while we're learning next week's recipe.
There you go. And
That
I
would be the way to do it.
the shortcuts I don't think I put in the recipe. If you don't want to get a rotisserie chicken, or I made my own chicken at home, you can use chicken stock or chicken broth that you buy, in a box or whatever. You can.
I did that.
Yeah, and you, I mean, there you can add. You can leave the carrots and celery in the soup.
I did that.
What's the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, no brain, no pain. Oh, my granddaughter doesn't like chicken in her soup. She just likes the soup and the rice. So I have to take some
Oh.
out for her and do it separately.
Oh.
So
Yeah, I use the chicken stock and the rotisserie chicken. And I've got all the vegetables and the chicken. Oh, gosh, it's so good.
I did the same thing. It's been a week of running. I'm still doing the caregiving routine, gang. And this morning I did the chicken stock. I already had the rotisserie chicken that I had shredded. I had rice that was already made.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. You can use rice that's already.
And it took 10, 15 minutes, and wow.
To me, it's comforting to smell the chicken soup cooking, to smell the chicken cooking. There was always the aroma of food in my grandmother's house, my mother's house, my aunt's. I don't care where you were in the family, and my husband's side of the family as well.
Isn't it funny? It's like there's something magical about chicken soup.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
there is.
Whether it's chicken soup or blueberry muffins or, food means
Funny
love.
you should say.
That's how you show love sometimes is,
Yeah.
It is.
especially if words fail you at a particular time.
Exactly.
Well, you have been truly a gift. I know you and CJ have known each other forever, but now I consider you my new friend.
Me too.
Yay. And do you want me to announce who we're having next week, CJ?
Please. Would you do?
Yes. So next week we have Nessa Berard, I guess that's how you say it, Weinman. And she has a recipe for a yummy, nourishing tea. And it really looks like it looks like a really interesting tea with cinnamon and turmeric. And so I'm looking forward to that. She has been a caregiver for her husband for a very long time. He was diagnosed with early Parkinson's disease. And so they've been going through this for, I'd say, going on 20 plus years.
Yeah.
But they're working together in a Parkinson's support group. So, they're finding ways to navigate through all of this as well.
Yeah, she's a fascinating woman. I've not met Nessa. Other than corresponding on some caregiver sites and messaging, and she's dynamite.
So please join us next week. Share this with all of your friends. The link for the next show will be up on the Caregivers Bakery page, hopefully by the end of today, if I get my act together. And so I am Wendy Green.
And I am CJ Karen Golden. And we all know that caregiving is not a piece of cake. Our hope with the Caregivers Bakery is that we'll help you find the sweet spots.
So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Maryann.
Thank you two for doing this for many of us that really need it.
Okay. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Bye.